I was once betrayed by my wife, who mocked me as visionless and chose a man with power and wealth. Yet I used their underestimation to fuel my rise and built an empire, forcing them to look at me with newfound respect. I proved that the best revenge isn't about destruction, but about showing my true worth. Claire's voice pierced the air as she yanked another designer piece off the hangers in their shared walk-in closet, each screech of metal against the rod echoed like nails on a chalkboard to Leo Hayes. His fingers tightened around the door frame of their master bedroom, his dark eyes fixed on the surreal scene unfolding before him. You know what your problem is, Leo, she spat, holding up a Essilor blazer before cramming it into one of the Louis Vuitton suitcases sprawled across their bed. You lack vision. You're content with this. She gestured dismissively at the room, an immaculately designed space that most would envy yet was somehow beneath her expectations. Leo's jaw clenched, his silence giving her no satisfaction. 3 years of marriage, Claire, he said, finally, his voice low, trembling with suppressed emotion. And this is what you boil it down to. 3 wasted years, she corrected, sharply, tossing her hair over her shoulder. Leo's stomach twisted as she turned to her jewelry box, picking through pieces HED gifted her over the years. He remembered every occasion. Birthdays, anniversaries, just because surprises. Now each memory was nothing but ammunition for her disdain. Do you know what Nathan said when he showed me his summer house in the Hamptons? She asked, her tone dripping with smug satisfaction. He said, this is just the beginning. She faced him, her blonde hair catching the light, her blue eyes alight with condescension. When's the last time you said anything like that to me? When's the last time you even tried the name? Nathan Reed hit Leo like a sucker punch. CEO of Reed Technologies, Claire's biggest client at her law firm. The late-night calls, emergency meetings and business trips suddenly made a grotesque kind of sense. Is this about him? Leo asked, his voice steady, despite the anger bubbling beneath about. Nathan. Claire let out a hollow laugh. Of course, it's about him. Do you have any idea what kind of life HE's offering me? Mansions, yachts, a future. Not this suburban nightmare. Leo's mind raced back to their days at Boston University, where they lived in a cramped studio apartment, sharing ramen noodles and dreams of the future. HED supported her through law school, working 2 part-time jobs, and maxing out his credit card so she could buy suits for interviews. I supported you, he said, his voice growing quieter as hers rose louder. Every internship, every new client, every... Oh please, she snapped, cutting him off. You want a medal for doing what any half-decent husband would do. The difference is other men would have used that as a stepping stone, not an excuse to stay comfortable in mediocrity with that. She pulled off her wedding ring and tossed it onto the dresser. The diamond HED painstakingly saved for clinked coldly against the wood. You can't regret this, Leo said, stepping closer, his tone more measured. Now, not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But one day you will. For a fleeting moment, something passed over her face. Uncertainty, fear. But just as quickly it was replaced with the cold disdain. Shed, worn as armor for weeks. The only thing I regret, she said, zipping up the last suitcase, is wasting 3 years with a loser. She brushed past him, leaving a trail of expensive perfume in her wake at the doorway. She paused, smirking over her shoulder. You know the funny thing, Leo, when we met, I thought you had potential. Turns out, I was wrong. Nathan built an empire. What have you built? The sound of her heels clicking down the hallway reverberated through the house, followed by the door slamming shut. Leo moved to the window in time to see a sleek black Mercedes waiting outside. Her driver loaded the suitcases while she climbed into the back seat, her phone already pressed to her ear as the car pulled away. Leo's reflection stared back at him. In the glass, his angular features were set in stone, his dark eyes burning with an intensity that would have made her reconsider her words if she had truly looked at him that day. He reached for the discarded wedding ring, holding it up to the light. The diamond sparkled. Leo placed the ring in the top drawer of the dresser, shutting it with finality as he straightened. A decision crystallized in his mind. She thought. She knew him. She thought. She understood his limits, his capabilities, his ambitions. She was wrong. Pulling out his phone, he scrolled through his contacts until he found the name he wanted. The line rang twice before his oldest friend. Tom Carter answered. I need you to come over, Leo said. The first step was to redirect his pain into purpose. Over the next weeks, Leo poured himself into his work. But this time, he wasn't just coding. He was designing something bigger. A platform that would revolutionize financial analysis. The algorithm he envisioned could predict market trends with staggering accuracy, identifying patterns that even seasoned analysts missed. The project consumed him, and he welcomed the distraction. Tom, his most trusted friend and fellow computer science graduate from their Boston University days, watched with a mix of awe and concern. You're going to kill yourself, man, Tom said, setting down 2 cups of coffee late one night. Fine, Leo replied, typing furiously. The lines of code reflected in his glasses, like the flickering embers of a fire. Tom sighed, pulling up a chair. I know you saw the wedding photos. Leo's hands paused briefly over the keyboard before continuing at an even faster pace. The society pages. His voice was fed with mockery. Tech titan. Wed's rising legal star. Quite the headline. He laughed. Bitterly. But there was no humor in it. The photos were everywhere. Claire in a custom Vera Wang gown. Nathan, grinning, like a man who had everything. The ceremony had been the social event of the season. A spectacle designed to flaunt their wealth and power. You can't keep doing this to yourself, Tom said carefully. 18-hour days fueled by and spite. It's not sustainable. Leo finally turned to face him. His eyes fever. Bright. This isn't about her, he said. This is about building something meaningful. Something they'll never see coming. Tom leaned back, recognizing the steel in his friend's voice. All right, he said. If you're serious about this, let me make a call. My cousin works for a venture capital firm, Sterling and Ross. They specialize in funding projects like yours. Leo hesitated, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. When tomorrow lunch? But you're going home. First, shower, shave, sleep in an actual bed. You're not meeting my cousin looking like a revenge-coating hermit. A ghost of a smile tugged at Leo's lips. The first in weeks. Revenge-coating hermit. That's new. It's accurate. Tom clapped him on the shoulder. And trust me, Leo. This could be big. But you need to play it smart. No emotions, just strategy. Leo saved his work and shut down the computer strategy. He repeated, his voice cold and deliberate. That's exactly what I have in mind. The private dining room of the Beacon Hill restaurant exuded understated elegance. Dark wood paneling, soft lighting, and the faint clink of silverware against fine china. Alex Turner, senior partner at Sterling and Ross, sat across from Leo Hayes, scrolling through the tablet displaying the prototype data for his platform. His expression was neutral, but Leo could see the gears turning in his mind. Alex finally set the tablet down. This is impressive. Predicting market trends with 93% accuracy. Isn't just disruptive. It's revolutionary. But I need to know what's your endgame here. Leo took a sip of water. His movements deliberate. His tone me as measured 3 months ago. My wife told me I lack vision, she said. It never built anything meaningful. She thought I was just a coating monkey destined for mediocrity. Alex's lips curved into a knowing smile. You wouldn't be the first entrepreneur motivated by personal vengeance. But if I'm going to back you, I need to know you can separate emotion from strategy. Leo leaned forward, his dark eyes locking onto Alex. This isn't just about revenge. This platform isn't a weapon. It's an instrument of change. But if in the process, I happen to dismantle the empire of the man who tried to erase me, that's just collateral damage. Alex studied him for a long moment before nodding. Sterling and Ross doesn't back revenge. fantasies. Mr. Hayes, we back winners. If you're serious about building an empire, we'll help you do it. But you'll need the right team, the right strategy, and most importantly, the right connections. I have one condition, Leo said. Tom Carter comes with me as head of operations. He's been with this project from the beginning, and I trust him implicitly done. Alex extended his hand. Welcome to the big leagues, Mr. Hayes. As Leo left the restaurant, he felt the first stirrings of triumph. This was the first step in a long game, and he intended to play it with the precision of a master SDR strategist. The following months were a blur of activity. Sterling and Ross provided the funding, and Leo poured every ounce of his energy into assembling a team of the best minds in tech and finance. Tom handled operations, ensuring the infrastructure ran smoothly, while Leo focused on refining the platform. The predictive algorithm was already a marvel, but he wanted it to be flawless. Tom marveled at the transformation. The once overworked developer with dark circles under his eyes was now a commanding figure dressed in tailored suits, exuding confidence. You've come a long way from late-night coding sessions in college, Tom remarked during one of their strategy meetings. Leo smirked and we're just getting started. The platform, branded as Hayes Analytics, launched in beta, and immediately attracted attention from hedge funds and investment firms. Its ability to process millions of data points and identify patterns faster than any human analyst made it an essential tool for anyone serious about dominating the market. We're already getting acquisition offers, Tom reported one morning, tossing a stack of proposals onto Leo's desk. Some of these numbers are ridiculous. Leo barely glanced at them. WEK not selling. Tom raised an eyebrow, wanting to stick it to Nathan faster. Taking his company apart, piece by piece, will be far more satisfying, Leo replied, his voice icy. I'm not here for a quick win. I'm here to build something that lasts 3 years after. Claire walked out of his life. Leo's platform was just successful. It was dominating. Hayes Analytics had become the go-to tool for financial institutions. At its meteoric rise was the top of Boston's tech scene. But Leo's ambitions didn't stop at success. It was time to put the next phase of his plan into action, targeting Reed Technologies. Reed Technologies had been struggling. A security vulnerability in their cloud services had led to the loss of several major clients, and their stock was in steady decline. Nathan Reed, once hailed as a tech titan, was scrambling to keep his company afloat. Leo watched from the sidelines, biding his time. He's vulnerable, he told Tom during one of their late-night SDR sessions. We just need the right leverage. Leverage came in the form of Evelyn Blake, a former prosecutor turned corporate lawyer with a reputation for ruthlessness, introduced to Leo by Sterling and Ross. Evelyn was intrigued by the evidence Hayes Analytics had gathered. You've done your homework, Evelyn said, flipping through the files. Corporate espionage, insider trading, security lapses. This isn't just a company in trouble. This is a company on the brink of collapse. Can you use it? Leo asked. Evelyn smiled, a shark-like glint in her eyes. I can do more than use it. I can destroy them. She outlined a multi-pronged strategy. Legal action, media campaigns, and strategic acquisitions of Reed Technologies competitors. Each move would weaken Nathan's position, paving the way for a hostile takeover. This has to be clean and clinical, Evelyn warned. No emotional outbursts, sis. No shortcuts if we're going to this. We do it by the book. Money is no object, Leo replied. Whatever resources you need, they're yours. Hayes Analytics began acquiring Reed Technologies competitors with surgical precision, each purchase carefully structured to avoid suspicion. At the same time, Evelyn's team filed lawsuits, exposing Reed Technologies vulnerabilities, and Emma Collins, the peer specialist, were to control the narrative. Nathan tried to fight back, bringing in Bernadette Short, a renowned corporate strategist, known as the Corporate Shield. But every move Nathan made was anticipated and countered, thanks to Hayes Analytics' predictive algorithms. Every defensive strategy they deploy, we neutralize before they can implement it, Tom reported during a late-night briefing. It's like playing chess with someone who knows your next move before you do. Good, Leo said. Keep the pressure on. I want them to feel the walls closing in as Reed Technology's stock continued to plummet. Claire found herself working overtime as the company's general counsel. But her once brilliant legal maneuvers were no match for Evelyn's superior strategy. One particularly damning piece of evidence came to light: emails between Claire and several of Nathan's competitors, proving she had facilitated the theft of trade secrets. The race sent shock waves through the industry and further eroded Reed Technology's credibility. She played her part perfectly, Leo remarked, watching the fallout unfold. Her ambition was always her greatest weakness as Doug's technologies teetered on the edge of collapse. Leo prepared for the final move. He called a meeting with his team, the room buzzing with anticipation. Tomorrow, we launch the takeover bid, he announced. This isn't just about acquiring a company. This is about sending a message. Never underestimate what a software developer can build. His words were met with nods of agreement and quiet determination. Each person in the room understood the stakes. This wasn't just a business move. It was the culmination of years of planning, sacrifice, and patience. As the meeting adjourned, Leo stood alone in the conference room staring out at the Boston skyline. He thought of Claire, of Nathan, of the life they had built on betrayal and arrogance. Tomorrow, that life would crumble. The game was almost over, and Leo intended to win the year. In the Dayton Analytics headquarters was electric. Every department was laser-focused, executing their roles in the intricate symphony orchestrated by Leo Hayes at 9 a.m. sharp on Monday morning. As traders logged into their terminals and markets opened, Hayes Analytics launched its hostile takeover bid for Reed Technologies. The bid was announced with surgical precision. Time to hit when Reed Technologies' stock was already plummeting. Media outlets buzzed with the news within minutes, amplifying the pressure on Nathan Reed and his crumbling empire. Nathan was mid-conversation with his executive team when his CFO burst into the boardroom, visibly shaken. "Sir, we have a situation," he stammered, placing the Hayes Analytics offering documents on the table. "What is this?" Nathan asked, his voice low but dangerous. "It's a hostile takeover bid," the CFO replied. "Hayes Analytics is offering to buy our shareholders at a premium. They've already secured a significant portion of the voting shares." Claire, who had been sitting in on the meeting, grabbed the documents and quickly scanned them. Her polished composure began to crack as she realized the gravity of the situation. "This can't be happening," she muttered. "It's happening," the CFO confirmed grimly. "Their offer is backed by Sterling and Ross, and they're leveraging our declining stock price to make the deal irresistible to our shareholders." Nathan slammed his fist on the table. Curated. Now within the hour, Reed Technology's boardroom was in full-blown crisis mode. Bernadette Short, the corporate strategist brought in to protect the company from hostile takeovers, outlined an aggressive defense strategy. "Well, initiate share buybacks to consolidate control," Bernadette said. "And we need to reassure our major clients that their accounts are secure. This takeover bid is a scare tactic. We need to show strength." Nathan nodded, his jaw clenched. "Do it, whatever it takes." But as the team scrambled to implement that plan, they discovered that Hayes Analytics had anticipated every move. Share buybacks were blocked by preemptive injunctions filed by Evelyn Blake. Key clients, already alarmed by the company's security vulnerabilities, were defecting to competitors. Wagner had recently acquired it. "Like they're reading our playbook," Bernadette said, her voice laced with frustration. "Every move we make, they've already counted." As the board tried to regain control, a bombshell dropped. Youngbird, Hayes Analytics compliance officer and former SEC investigator, had provided damning evidence of corporate espionage to several major news outlets. Emails, financial records, and technical documents proved that Reed Technologies had engaged in unethical practices facilitated by none other than Claire Reed. The news hit like a thunderclap. CNBC broke the story first, followed by Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal headlines like Reed Technology, Scandal, Espionage, and Fraud at the Core dominated the day's news cycle. Claire felt the walls closing in this evidence. It can't be real, she insisted, her voice shaking. Our communications were encrypted. Apparently, not well enough. Bernadette replied coldly. And if even half of this is true, we're looking at criminal investigations, not just lawsuits. Nathan rounded on. Claire, his face red with fury. You told me everything was secure. You told me this would never come back to us. Don't you dare put this all on me. Claire, shut back. You wanted those trade secrets. You benefited from them as much as I did. Their shouting match was interrupted by the company's general counsel. This conversation needs to stop. Now anything you say could be used against you in court for as chaos reigned at Reed Technologies. Leo Hayes watched from his sleek office, a faint smile playing on his lips. Tom entered, holding a tablet with live updates on the situation. They're falling apart. Tom reported the board's divided and the media is tearing them to shreds. It's only a matter of time before they capitulate. Leo nodded. Send the board our final offer. Make it clear that this is their best and only option that afternoon. Leo walked into the Reed Technologies boardroom. For the first time, the atmosphere was tense. The board members, visibly shaken. Nathan glared at him from the head of the table, his usual confidence replaced by desperation. Leo took his seat, flanked by Evelyn and Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his tone calm, but commanding. I believe you've all had time to review our offer. Let me assure you it's a generous one, especially given the current state of your company. You orchestrated this. Nathan spat. You've been undermining us for months. Leo's expression remained neutral. I've been building my company. Your downfall is simply a byproduct of your own decisions. Claire, sitting across from him, looked pale and defeated. Leo, we can negotiate. There's no need to destroy everything. You destroyed it the moment you underestimated me. Leo replied, his voice cold. This isn't personal, Claire. It's business. Despite Nathan's protests and Bernadette's attempts to rally support, the board knew the truth. There was no salvaging Reed Technologies. The evidence of corporate espionage, the plummeting stock price, and the loss of key clients made Leo's offer the only viable path forward. The vote was unanimous. Reed Technologies would be acquired by Hayes Analytics. As the chairman announced the decision, Nathan slumped in his seat, his empire reduced to ashes. Claire avoided Leo's gaze, knowing she had lost far more than a career. Evelyn began distributing the paperwork. Mr. Reed, your resignation agreement is on page 3. The terms are non-negotiable. Security escorted Nathan and Claire from the building, their protests echoing in the hallway. Leo watched them go, his expression unreadable. Back at Hayes Analytics headquarters, the mood was celebratory. Tom uncorked a bottle of champagne, pouring glasses for the team. Evelyn, young Emma and Ardette all raised their glasses, toasting to their hard-fought victory to the new king of Boston tech. Tom said, grinning. Leo accepted his glass, but didn't drink. He gazed out the window at the Boston skyline, the Hayes Analytics logo now shining brighter than ever. This is just the beginning, he said, quietly, more to himself than the room. We've built something that will outlast all of us. As the team celebrated around him, Leo allowed himself a moment of reflection. He had taken everything Nathan and Claire had tried to steal from him and turned it into an empire. But more importantly, he had proven that success was just the best revenge. It was the only revenge worth having. The dust had barely settled from the Hayes Analytic acquisition of Reed Technologies, but the ripple effects were already reshaping Boston's tech industry. Leo Hayes' name had become synonymous with calculated strategy and unrelenting ambition. As the media speculated on his next move, Leo focused on consolidating his victory and planning for the future. The evidence of corporate espionage leaked by Hayes Analytics triggered immediate action from federal agencies. Nathan Reed, once the golden boy of Boston's tech scene, faced a slew of criminal charges, including securities Fraud and corporate malfeasance in the federal courthouse. Nathan appeared a shadow of his former self. Gone was the confident titan who had dominated boardrooms. In his place stood a man beaten by the weight of his actions. The evidence presented by young Bird and Evelyn Blake was irrefutable. Emails, financial records, and witness testimonies painted a damning picture of his involvement in illegal activities. The jury took less than a day to deliberate. Nathan was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, his personal and professional life in tatters. His assets were frozen, his reputation irreparably damaged, and his legacy reduced to a cautionary tale. Claire Reed. Now, back to her maiden name of Claire. Duerty faced her own reckoning. While she avoided prison through a plea bargain, her role in facilitating corporate espionage resulted in permanent disbarment and financial ruin. Civil suits, filed by former competitors, drained whatever resources she had left. Claire moved into a small studio apartment in Providence, taking a paralegal job at a small insurance firm. The woman who once reveled in luxury now struggled to make ends meet. Her designer wardrobe sold off to pay legal fees. One evening, while watching the evening news, Claire saw a profile on Leo Hayes' latest venture. The man she had dismissed as ambitious and ordinary had become a titan, his company valued in the billions. The realization hit her like a blow. She had gambled her future on Nathan, only to lose everything with Reed Technologies. Now, part of Hayes Analytics, Leo wasted no time in integrating their infrastructure and client base. The acquisition allowed Hayes Analytics to expand its platform, making it the premier tool for financial analysis and market prediction worldwide. Hedge funds, investment banks, and Fortune 5 companies relied on its accuracy, cementing the company's dominance in the tech world. Tom Carter, now the chief operating officer, oversaw the expansion with the meticulous care that had brought them to this point. Evelyn Blake, now chief legal officer, ensured the company's operations remained bulletproof, while Emma Collins managed public relations, shaping the narrative of Wagner Analytics as a beacon of innovation and integrity. Jack Thompson, semi-retired, but still on the board, frequently marveled at what Leo had built. "You've turned revenge into an art form," he joked during one quarterly meeting. "Not revenge," Leo replied with a faint smile. "Just justice." One crisp fall morning, Leo stopped at a coffee shop in Back Bay. As he waited for his order, he spotted Claire sitting at a corner table. She looked out, her face a mixture of surprise and shame. "Leo," she said, softly, standing up. Her once impeccable appearance was replaced by a more subdued, tired version of her ass. "Can we talk?" Leo hesitated for a moment before nodding. They sat at a small table, the silence between them heavy. "I'm sorry," Claire said, her voice trembling for everything. "I was wrong about you. About us. I don't know what I was thinking." Leo studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. "You thought you were trading up," he said. "Finally, you thought I was a stepping stone, not a partner." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "I made a mistake. A terrible mistake." "Yes, you did." Leo's voice was calm, almost detached. "But it's not my responsibility to fix it for you." As he stood to leave, she reached out, her hand brushing his sleeve. "Is there any chance we could start over, even as friends?" Leo looked down at her hand, then back at her face. "No, Claire. I've built a life. You're no longer were a part of it." He walked out, stepping into his waiting Bentley. As the car pulled away, he didn't look back. Years passed and Hayes Analytics continued to grow. The company expanded into quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and blockchain technology, maintaining its position at the forefront of innovation. The Wagner Foundation, led by Tom's wife, became a leader in funding STEM education, ensuring the next generation of innovators had the resources they needed. Leo remarried his wife, a brilliant quantum computing researcher, who shared his passion for building something meaningful together. They became one of Boston's most influential power couples. Every now and then, Leo would glance at the small collection of mottos in his private office. Among them was Claire's discarded wedding ring, a symbol of the betrayal that had sparked his journey. It reminded him of a lesson he would never forget. Kindness and patience were often mistaken for weakness, but they were the foundation of true strength. The story of Leo Wagner became a legend in the business world, a tale of resilience, strategy, and triumph. He had taken the betrayal that could have destroyed him and turned it into the foundation of an empire. Nathan and Claire had underestimated him, seeing only what he was not, what he could become. And as they faded into obscurity, Leo Hayes stood at the pinnacle of success, proving once and for all that the best revenge was destruction. It was transformation. Leo leaned back in his leather chair, watching the Boston skyline through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office. The city looked different from this vantage point, smaller, more manageable below him. The financial district hummed with life, its rhythm dictated by the algorithms. He designed every trade, every market shift, every trend bore his fingerprint. It was a quiet, unspoken power, one that he wielded with precision. A soft knock at the door pulled him from his thoughts. Tom stepped in, holding a tablet. "Quarterly reports," he said, placing the device on Leo's desk. "Another record-breaking quarter, revenues up 28 in the London office, is already outperforming projections." Leo nodded, scrolling through the numbers and the expansion into Asia on track. Tom replied, "We've secured offices in Tokyo and Singapore. The response from local investors has been overwhelmingly positive." "Good," Leo said, setting the tablet aside. "Let's not lose momentum." Tom hesitated for a moment, then leaned against the desk. "I ran into some from our Boston University days last week. They can't believe what you've built," said. "They always thought you'd end up in academia, not running a tech empire." Leo smirked. "People see what they want to see. They make assumptions, and they rarely look deeper." Tom studied his friend, noting the faint shadow of something in his expression. Satisfaction, maybe, but tempered by the weight of everything it had taken to get here. "You've done it," Leo, Tom said. "You've built something incredible. But are you happy?" Leo didn't answer right away. He turned back to the window, his reflection blending with the cityscape. "Happiness is fleeting," he said finally. "But fulfillment, that's lasting and unfulfilled." Tom nodded, understanding the subtext. Leo had always been driven by something deeper than emotion, something rooted in proving himself, not just to others, but to himself. As Tom left, Leo picked up a framed photo from his desk. It was an old picture from their university days taken during a late-night study session. He and Tom sat at a clerk table, surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee cups. They looked young, hopeful, and full of untested ambition. He set the photo down and reached for another. This one was more recent, taken at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for Wagner and Lit ICS new headquarters. His team stood behind him, all smiles and sharp suits. They were no longer students, chasing dreams. They were builders of empires. Claire sat in her cramped studio apartment, staring at the eviction notice on her kitchen table. The once pristine walls were scuffed and yellowed, the carpet worn thin in places. It was a far cry from the luxury penthouses she used to call home. Her job as a paralegal barely covered her expenses, and the civil suits from Reed Technology's competitors had drained what little savings she had left. She toyed with the idea of reaching out to Leo again, but the memory of their last encounter stopped her. He had looked at her like she was a stranger, someone who no longer had any place in his life. Her phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a notification from a financial news app. She opened it and saw an article about Wagner Analytics' latest venture into quantum computing. The headline declared it a groundbreaking innovation that would reshape the tech industry. Claire's chest tightened as she read the article. She could still remember the night she had told Leo he lacked vision, that he'd never leave a mark on the world. She had believed every word at the time, convinced that Nathan offered a future Leo could never provide. Now, years later, The truth was inescapable. Leo had proven her wrong in every way imaginable. He had built an empire, one that dwarfed anything Nathan had ever achieved. And she had thrown it all away. Tears welled in her eyes as she closed the air. Regret was a bitter companion, one that refused to leave her side. She thought of the life she could have had, the partnership they could have shared, but it was too late for that. All she could do now was watch from the sidelines. As Leo's star continued to rise, Nathan sat in the corner of a dingy coffee shop, nursing a cup of black coffee. His once tailored suits had been replaced by off-the-rack clothing, and his hair, now streaked with gray, was unkempt. The man who had once been the face of Boston's tech elite was now a cautionary tale, his name synonymous with scandal and failure. He opened his laptop and logged into a job board, scrolling through listings for positions he once would have considered. Nathan. The humiliation was a daily reality, a reminder of how far he had fallen as he clicked through postings. His thoughts turned to Leo. He hadn't seen or spoken to him since the takeover, but the news of Wagner Analytics' success was impossible to ignore. Leo's face graced the covers of business magazines, his name frequently mentioned alongside phrases like visionary and industry leader. Nathan hated him, not just for what he had done, but for what he represented. Leo had taken everything from him: his company, his reputation, his future, and he had done it with the kind of precision and ruthlessness Nathan had once prided himself on. He closed the laptop and leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. He had always believed himself to be untouchable, a king in a kingdom of his own making. But Leo had taught him otherwise. Leo stood on the rooftop terrace of his penthouse, a glass of wine in hand. The city stretched out before him, a testament to what he had built. He thought of the people who had doubted him, the ones who had dismissed him as ordinary. He raised his glass, a silent toast to the journey that had brought him here. It wasn't happiness he felt, but something deeper, something more enduring. It was the quiet satisfaction of a man who had turned betrayal into triumph, who had taken the broken pieces of his life and forged them into something extraordinary. And as he watched the city lights flicker against the night sky, he knew one thing with absolute certainty: his story was far from over. The boardroom buzzed with energy as the leadership team of Wagner Analytics assembled for their quarterly review. The room reflected the company's success, with sleek glass walls, cutting-edge technology, and a panoramic view of the Boston skyline. Leo sat at the head of the table, his calm demeanor commanding attention. His tailored suit and unshakable composure projected the image of a man firmly in control. "Let's start with the Asia-Pacific expansion," Leo said, glancing at Tom, now Chief Operating Officer. Clicked a button on his tablet, projecting a graph onto the screen. The Tokyo office is fully operational, and Singapore is set to launch next quarter. Early projections indicate a 35% market share in the region within the first year. Emma Collins, the head of public relations, chimed in. "Media coverage has been overwhelmingly positive. We're being positioned as the leader in global fintech innovation." Leo nodded. "Good. Make sure the narrative stays focused on our long-term vision." As the meeting continued, the team presented updates on various initiatives from quantum computing to blockchain integration. Each report reinforced his analytics position as a dominant force in the tech world. When the meeting adjourned, the team lingered, discussing plans over coffee and exchanging ideas. Leo observed them with quiet satisfaction. This was more than a company. It was a testament to what could be achieved through vision, determination, and strategic execution. That evening, Leo returned to his penthouse. He loosened his tie and poured himself a glass of whiskey, the amber liquid, catching the light as he moved to the balcony. The city sparkled below, a sprawling network of lights that seemed to pulse with life. His phone buzzed with a notification, a news alert about Nathan Reed. The headline read, "Former tech CEO begins 5-year sentence for corporate espionage and securities fraud." Leo smiled. Nathan had built his empire on shortcuts and exploitation, but it had crumbled under the weight of his own hubris. Justice had been served, and the message was clear: no one was untouchable. He set the phone down and leaned against the railing, his thoughts drifting to Claire. She had been the spark that ignited his transformation, the catalyst for everything he had built. But she was also a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of ambition, underpinned by loyalty or foresight. Leo's mind wandered back to the day she had walked out, her words cutting deep, as she dismissed his potential shed. Chosen a life of instant gratification, believing it was the better path. Now, years later, the contrast between their fates couldn't be more stark. Claire's name occasionally appeared in gossip columns, attached to stories of financial hardship and professional disgrace. She had taken a parallel job in Providence, far removed from the high-powered legal career she once envisioned. The last time he'd seen her, she had been a shadow of her former self, her confidence eroded by years of regret. The bitterness of the past no longer consumed him, but he couldn't deny the satisfaction of knowing he had proven her wrong. His success wasn't just personal. It was a declaration to the world that he was more than anyone had ever imagined across the city. Claire sat in her tiny apartment, the faint hum of the laundromat below, a constant reminder of her diminished circumstances. The walls were bare, her belongings sparse, a stark contrast to the opulence she once took for granted. She stared at the stack of bills on her kitchen table, each envelope a testament to the choices that had led her here. Her phone buzzed with a notification, and she hesitated before picking it up. It was another news article about Wagner Analytics, this time highlighting their groundbreaking advancements in age-driven market analysis. She couldn't bring herself to read it. Every mention of Leo was a painful reminder of what she had lost. She thought about calling him, about begging for forgiveness or a second chance. But deep down, she knew it was pointless. Leo had moved on, and she was no longer a part of his story. Tears welled in her eyes as she thought about the life she could have had. She had traded stability and love for fleeting excitement, and it had cost her everything. Now all she could do was watch from the sidelines as Leo continued to rise. The following week, Leo attended a gala celebrating the Austin's most influential entrepreneurs. The event was a who's who of the business world, with CEOs, investors and innovators mingling over champagne and diverses. Leo arrived with his new wife, Isabella, a renowned quantum computing researcher. Her intelligence and warmth complemented his ambition, and together, they commanded the room's attention. As they made their way through the crowd, Leo spotted a familiar face near the entrance. Claire. She was working as part of the event staff, handing out programs and directing guests. Her eyes widened when she saw him, and for a moment, their gazes locked. Leo inclined his head in a polite nod, then turned back to Isabella, who was engaging a group of tech executives in conversation. He didn't look back at Claire, but he could feel her watching him, a silent acknowledgement of how far they had diverged. By the end of the evening, the encounter was a distant memory. Leo had long since stopped dwelling on the past. His focus was on the future, on a legacy he was building and the lives he was shaping through his company's work. That night, as he lay in bed beside Isabella, Leo reflected on the journey that had brought him here. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the countless hours of work. It had all led to this moment. He had turned pain into power, transforming himself into a force to be reckoned with. As sleep claimed him, one thought lingered. The best revenge wasn't in destroying those who had wronged him. It was in proving that they had never truly understood his worth. Leo, his transformation had become legendary in Boston's tech world, and his analytics was now synonymous with innovation and dominance. But for Leo, his empire was still a work in progress, and every milestone was a stepping stone, and every success was fuel for the fire that had driven him since the day Claire walked out. One crisp morning, Leo arrived at the Wagner Analytics headquarters. The building was a modern architectural marvel with its glass facade, reflecting the city skyline. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with purpose, a hive of activity that mirrored the relentless drive of its founder. In his penthouse office, Leo reviewed the day's agenda. The company was preparing for its annual Innovation Summit, an event that had grown into a showcase for groundbreaking technology. This year, The keynote presentation was particularly significant. A new platform that integrated quantum computing and artificial intelligence to predict market trends with near-perfect accuracy. Tom entered the office, his tablet in hand. The final presentation is ready. The team's running simulations to ensure the demo goes smoothly. Good, Leo replied. This platform will set us apart. For the next decade. Tom hesitated. There's one more thing. Nathan's appeal was denied. Leo didn't react, his focus remaining on the report in front of him. I expected as much. The evidence was irrefutable. It's all over the news. Tom continued. His lawyers are calling it a witch hunt. But no one's buying it. Leo finally looked up, his expression unreadable. Let him fight his battles. There. No concern of ours. Tom nodded and left the office, leaving Leo alone with his thoughts. The news about Nathan didn't elicit the satisfaction it once might have. Leo had long since moved past the need for validation. Nathan's downfall was a byproduct of his own recklessness, not something Leo needed to dwell on. Instead, his thoughts turned to the future. The new platform had the potential to redefine industries, and Wagner Analytics was poised to lead the charge. But with great power came great responsibility, and Leo was determined to wield it wisely. The Innovation Summit was held at the Boston Convention Center, its grand hall filled with industry leaders, investors, and media. Leo stood backstage, watching the crowd as the opening speaker introduced him. The energy in the room was palpable, a mix of anticipation and excitement. When Leo took the stage, the audience erupted into applause. He began his presentation with a story, recounting the challenges he faced in building Wagner Analytics. He spoke of resilience and vision of turning obstacles into opportunities. Then he unveiled the new platform. The demo showcased its capabilities in real time, predicting market trends with stunning precision. The audience was captivated, their murmurs of approval growing louder with each passing moment. As the presentation concluded, the room erupted into a standing ovation. Leo stepped back from the podium, his eyes scanning the crowd among the sea of faces. He caught a glimpse of someone who didn't belong. Claire. She stood at the back of the room, her expression a mixture of awe and regret. For a brief moment, their eyes met, and Leo saw a flicker of the woman he had once loved. But the moment passed and he turned away, walking off the stage to join his team. Later that evening, Leo attended the summit's afterparty, a lavish affair at one of Boston's most exclusive venues. He moved through the crowd, engaging in conversations with investors and collaborators. Isabella was by his side, her presence a constant source of warmth and support. At one point, he stepped onto the balcony for a moment of solitude. The city stretched out before him, its lights twinkling like stars. He thought about the journey that had brought him here, the choices and sacrifices that had shaped his path. Claire approached him, her steps tentative. She was dressed simply, her once effortless glamour replaced by something more subdued. Leo, she said softly. He turned to face her, his expression calm, but distant. Claire, I didn't expect to see you here, she admitted, her voice tinged with uncertainty. But I had to come. I had to see what you've built. You've seen it, he replied, his tone neutral. She hesitated as if searching for the right words. I wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. Leo studied her for a moment, then nodded. I've heard your apology before, but the truth is, it doesn't matter anymore. I made a mistake, she said, her voice cracking. I thought I wanted something better, but I didn't realize what I already had. You made your choice, Leo said, firmly, and I made mine. We've both moved on. Claire's shoulders sagged and she looked down at the ground. I hope you find happiness. Leo, I already have, he replied, his gaze steady. Goodbye. Claire, what? She nodded and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Leo turned back to the city, a sense of closure settling over him. The past no longer held power over him. His focus was on the future, on the legacy he was building the following week. Hayes Analytics announced a partnership with the leading quantum computing firm, solidifying its position as a global leader in technology. The company's growth showed no signs of slowing, and Leo's influence continued to expand in his office. Leo kept a collection of mottos that symbolized his journey. The wedding ring. Claire had discarded the first draft of his algorithm, a framed article about the re-technology-esque takeover. Each item was a reminder of how far he had come and the lessons he had learned along the way as he prepared for another meeting. His phone buzzed with a message from Isabella. It was a photo of her holding a blueprint for a new research facility. They were funding together. The caption, "Read the future starts here." Leo smiled, a rare moment of warmth breaking through his stoic exterior. The future, indeed, was his to shape, and he intended to make the most of it over the next year. Wagner Analytics solidified its dominance, transforming industries far beyond finance. The company became a powerhouse in quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and predictive analytics, with its platform setting new standards in precision and efficiency. Leo Hayes' name was synonymous with innovation, and his leadership style was studied in business schools across the globe. The sprawling Hayes Analytics campus in Boston stood as a symbol of progress. Its state-of-the-art facilities included research labs, green spaces, and collaborative workspaces designed to foster creativity. Employees thrived in an environment that encouraged big ideas and bold thinking. Leo's vision extended beyond his company's walls. The Hayes Foundation, led by Tom's wife, Sophia, funded initiatives in STEM education, scholarships for underprivileged students, and grants for groundbreaking research. The foundation became a beacon of opportunity, reflecting Leo's belief in the power of potential. One brisk morning, Leo arrived at the campus for a board meeting. The agenda included updates on the company's expansion into Europe and Asia, the launch of a new AI-driven health art platform, and discussions about potential partnerships with renewable energy firms. Tom greeted him at the door to the boardroom. "Morning. Leo, you like this? Our European division just closed the deal with Nexus Systems. They're integrating our platform across their entire operation." "Excellent," Leo replied, a rare smile appearing. "That's the kind of synergy we need." The meeting began with presentations from division heads, each detailing their successes and challenges. Leo listened intently, his mind processing every detail he had built. Wagner Analytics on precision and adaptability, and he expected nothing less from his team. When the discussion turned to the healthcare platform, Isabella joined the meeting via video call. Her expertise in quantum computing had been instrumental in developing the technology, which promised to revolutionize diagnostics and treatment planning. The preliminary results are promising. Isabella reported the AI is identifying patterns that human doctors might overlook, and the quantum computing capabilities are speeding up the process exponentially. "This could save lives," Leo said, his tone thoughtful. "Make sure the implementation is flawless. We can't afford any errors in something this critical." As the meeting concluded, Leo addressed the board. "We've accomplished a great deal, but this is only the beginning. Our success isn't just about technology. It's about the impact we have on the world. Let's keep pushing boundaries." The board members nodded in agreement, inspired by Leo's unwavering determination. He had a way of making people believe in his vision, of rallying them to achieve the extraordinary. That evening, Leo hosted a dinner at his home, a sleek modern residence overlooking the Charles River. Isabella was by his side, her presence grounding him in a way few others could. The guest list included Tom and Sophia, members of the executive team, and close friends who had been part of his journey. The dinner was a celebration of their achievements and a reminder of the camaraderie that had fueled their success. As the evening wore on, the conversation turned to memories of the early days. "Remember when we were crammed into that tiny office running on coffee and adrenaline?" Tom said, grinning. "We had no idea if this was going to work, but we believed in it." Isabella added, "in each other. That's what made the difference." Leo said, "We didn't just build a company. We built something greater. A team, a vision, a future." The group praised their glasses in a toast, the clinking sound echoing the sense of unity that bound them together. The next day, Leo received a letter from a former employee of Reed Technologies. It was a heartfelt note, thanking him for the opportunities Hayes Analytics had provided. The writer described how their career had flourished under Leo's leadership, and how they were inspired to pay it forward by mentoring others. Leo read the letter twice, his expression unreadable. He placed it in his desk drawer alongside the other reminders of his journey. Each one was a testament to the resilience and determination that had brought him here. A few weeks later, Leo attended a charity gala in New York City. The event was a showcase for leaders in business and philanthropy, and Leo was one of the keynote speakers as he walked through the grand ballroom. He noticed familiar faces, peers, competitors, even skeptics who had once dismissed him. His speech was a reflection on lessons learned on the power of vision and perseverance success. He said, "It isn't just about what you achieve. It's about what you build, what you leave behind, and how you inspire others to dream bigger." The audience responded with applause, a recognition of the man who had turned ambition into action, who had taken every setback and turned it into strength later that night. As Ruth stood on the balcony of his hotel suite, looking out the glittering city, he allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. The journey had been long and often difficult, but it had shaped him into the man he was. Today, Isabella joined him, slipping her hand into his. "What are you thinking about?" she asked the future. He replied, "There's still so much to do. And well, do it together," she said, her voice steady and sure. Leo nodded, his resolve as unshakable as ever. The past had forged him, but the future was his to create, and he intended to make every moment count. In the months following the charity gala, Hayes Analytics continued its meteoric rise. The health care platform launched to critical acclaim with hospitals and research institutions worldwide adopting the technology. Its ability to diagnose complex conditions with unprecedented accuracy saved countless lives and cemented the company's reputation as an industry leader. Leo's empire was no longer just about financial technology. It was reshaping industries and setting new benchmarks for innovation. One crisp autumn morning, Leo arrived at the Wagner Analytics headquarters, his mind already racing through the day's agenda. The building buzzed with energy as employees prepared for the announcement of a new initiative, a global partnership to integrate renewable energy solutions with advanced analytics. Tom was waiting in his office, a stack of documents in hand. "You ready for this? The renewable energy deal is a game." "Sure. It's not just about energy," Leo replied, his voice calm but firm. "It's about responsibility. If we're going to lead, we need to lead in ways that matter." The announcement was live-streamed globally. Leo, flanked by executives from leading energy companies, outlined the vision, a smarter, cleaner future powered by data and innovation. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with media outlets hailing Wagner Analytics as a force for good. That evening, Leo returned home to find Isabella reviewing blueprints for a new research facility, funded by the Hayes Foundation. The facility would focus on cutting-edge quantum computing and artificial intelligence, fostering collaboration between academia and industry. Another late night, she teased as he kissed her on the cheek. "Some things never change," he replied, settling beside her. "What's the progress? We're ahead of schedule. This could be our legacy." "Leo, a place where ideas thrive and the impossible becomes possible." He nodded, his mind already envisioning the potential for Leo. The idea of a legacy was no longer just about revenge or proving his worth. It was about creating something that would outlive him, something meaningful. Weeks later, Leo received an unexpected email from Claire. The subject line, simply read, "Apology." He stared at the screen for a moment before opening it. The message was brief, almost stark. "Leo, I've had a lot of time to think about everything. I wanted to say, I'm sorry for what I did, for how I treated. You didn't deserve that. You were right about me. I was selfish and short-sighted. I see that now. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say this. I hope you're happy. Claire." Leo closed the email without replying. He felt no anger, no satisfaction, just a quiet sense of finality. It was the last loose end in a chapter of his life. He had long since closed. The years continued to roll by haze. Analytics expanded into new territories, acquiring companies and forming partnerships that solidified its place as a global titan. Leo's leadership style evolved. He became less hands-on, trusting the exceptional team he had built to carry out his vision. The company's influence extended beyond technology. Its foundation funded scholarships, built schools and supported communities in need. Leo often visited these projects, finding joy in seeing the tangible impact of their work. One memorable visit took him to a school in rural India where children used tablets powered by his educational software. A young girl approached him, her eyes bred with curiosity. "Are you the man who made this?" she asked, holding up a tablet. "I helped," he replied with a smile. "Thank you," she said, earnest. "Why? It's teaching me so much." In that moment, Leo felt a deeper fulfillment than any financial success had ever brought him. As Leo approached his 60th birthday, the board of Wagner Analytics urged him to consider a succession plan. He spent months evaluating candidates, ultimately choosing Tom as his successor. It was a decision rooted in trust and shared vision. At the retirement announcement, Tom addressed the company. Leo built more than a business. He built a legacy of innovation, integrity, and impact. It's an honor to carry that forward. The room erupted in applause, a testament to the respect and admiration Leo had earned in his retirement. Leo found a different kind of rhythm. He and Isabella traveled the world, exploring places they had always dreamed of visiting. He spent more time with family, mentoring young entrepreneurs and indulging in hobbies he had once set aside for his relentless ambition. One sunny afternoon, he and Isabella sat on the terrace of their villa in Tuscany, overlooking rolling vineyards. A bottle of wine sat between them, a gift from a local vintner. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" Isabella asked, her voice soft all the time. Leo replied, "Oh, I try not to dwell on the past. There's too much ahead." She smiled, knowing that even in retirement, Leo's mind was always at work, always reaching for the next challenge. In the end, Leo's story wasn't just one of revenge or redemption. It was a story of transformation, of a man who turned betrayal into strength, setbacks into opportunities, and vision into reality as the sun set over the vineyards, casting the landscape in hues of gold. Leo raised his glass to Isabella. "To us," he said, simply. "And to what's yet to come," she replied. The clink of their glasses echoed softly, a quiet celebration of a life well lived, and a legacy that would endure for generations. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.